It started when I was doing a writing exercise, and one of the exercises was you've got a writer's utility belt. What would be in it to help you as a writer? And then I thought, oh, well, that's a great premise for children. Like, if they had a utility belt, what would they have in it?
Thank you for tuning into Unfiltered Voices. I'm Kelly Nissen, and I'm all about shining a light on the self-publication industry because self-published is never second-rate. Sharon Giltrow, welcome to Unfiltered Voices.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, wonderful to have you on. So just for people at home, Sharon Giltrow is a children's author who grew up as the youngest of 8 children in a century-old farmhouse where she turned her bedroom into a library filled with other people's books. Today, in her Perth home, she's filling the shelves with her own books. These include 3 role reversal picture books and her new junior fiction Utility Belt series. So welcome again, Sharon. We're here to talk mainly about your Utility Belt series, which you author published. So you've got 2 books in the series so far, although we will talk about your picture books a little bit later on. But if you could just give us the lowdown on the Utility Belt series.
Thank you, Kelly. So the Utility Belt series has 2 books in it at the moment. I'm editing the 3rd one. And it's a series where Samara was the first person to get her utility belt, which is a belt full of magical tools that she can use when she needs to overcome challenges. And she has a sidekick called Maddie, and Maddie chooses the tools when Samara needs them. And the tools are everyday items that you could find around the house, and it's set in the real world, just with a magical tool belt. And Samara's biggest problem at the beginning of the story is Toby, who's the class bully. So she makes a wish to be brave, and then on her 11th birthday, she receives this mystery belt from her uncle. And she has to learn how to use it, being guided by Maddie. It was really fun to write because I got to use my imagination quite a lot.
Fantastic. So your second book is Toby and the Utility Belt, isn't it?
Yes.
And
yes.
so Toby, you said, is the bully. So
yes.
he's obviously having a say in the next book as well.
Yes. So he's in Samara's book as the bully. But then there is a twist at the end where
we don't want to spoil it.
No, we don't want to spoil it.
There's obviously a twist.
Yeah, there is a twist. And then we learn about Toby's story in the second book. And
excellent.
It's sort of from his point of view. He also receives a utility belt on his 11th birthday and a sidekick called Kenji the frog, and his wish is to have friends because he's lonely, so he wants friends. So all his tools in his utility belt help him to make friends. And
Brilliant.
There's a big challenge at the end that he has to overcome.
Yeah, that's such a good premise. I almost feel, just listening to you talk about that this is almost going the way of Enid Blyton's Magic Faraway Tree series, in that when I was a child reading that book, I always used to go, I'd go and I'd look for the magic faraway tree. I wanted one of those. I wanted to, have this tree with this revolving land at the top. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if it was true? And I can almost see that as a child, that if the Utility Belt series was out then, I would have been like, I'm gonna look around. I want this utility belt. That would be so cool. It's a really nice way, I think, for kids to sort of dip into their imagination and go, wouldn't that be cool? I can, I can see.
And And that's what I often, because I do author talks as well. So I often say to the children, that's part of the author talk is what would be in your utility belt
Yes.
if you had one, and what would your problems that you overcome. And it started when I was doing a writing exercise, and one of the exercises was you've got a writer's utility belt. What would be in it to help you as a writer? And then I thought, oh, well, that's a great premise for children. Like if they had a utility belt, what would they have in it? And yeah, like you said, every child would want a utility belt. And then I researched and thought about what are the fears that 6 to 10-year-olds have the most, and one of them is like being bullied, and the other one is like losing friends and not making friends, and another one is losing a parent. So they're like their biggest fears at that age. So that's why I sort of made the belt help with those.
Yeah, I don't know about
Overcome
kids. I
those
think I
fears.
want a utility belt. That's what I think we all
That's
want.
it. Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's just talk inspiration for a moment, because it always fascinates me to know where an author's idea spark has come from. It's not always where we assume it might be. So I know you mentioned in your other bio that you've got over 30 years in early childhood teaching, and children honestly, just watching children and being with them, they're great sources of inspiration, the little things that they
Yes.
say and do and that sort of thing. Was there a child perhaps, or an event or something you saw that actually inspired you to write about the utility belt?
Yeah, well, they're very much, child led, I like to say. Again, it was around, well, I wrote it in 2019, so my son would have been 10, so he was around that age, and I was sort of, looking at him and his friends, and seeing what they were interested in, and what they were, what their fears were and their challenges. And he was obviously going to a primary school, so the first scene is Samara leaving the house, so all that sort of what we kind of did at that point. Even the food that Samara eats is food that my children liked eating at that age. The first scene is at the bike racks, and I pictured his school, so the bike racks are from his school. So I really put myself into that situation of getting on your bike and riding to school and trying to get there before somebody else gets there, and then something happens and then you walk into class. And so it's, and even like the teachers and the classroom, so I had that all pictured in my head. And even the name, well, it started as a picture book first, so that in the picture book the character had a different name, but then when it was suggested to me that I change it into a junior fiction, I was walking past the kindy across the road, and I saw a name on the floor, like a name tag that the children put on their books, and that was Samara. And I thought, oh, isn't that a great name for a character? So it's probably like you and every other writer, you're always looking out for these ideas, and then you weave them into your
Yes.
story.
Yeah. There's always something. Still on the Utility Belt series, why did you choose to author publish or self-publish that series?
Yeah, so they originally were published with an American publisher in the US, so they were traditionally published. Samara came out in 2020 through them, and Toby came out in 2024, but the distribution wasn't very good in Australia, and they were saying they were doing things, but they weren't doing what they were saying they were going to do. So I decided to make the hard decision to leave the publisher, and I got my rights back, and then I tried to get them republished with a traditional publisher, but that wasn't possible. So after a year of trying to do that, I went, well, and other authors said to me, self-publish, they're great books, get them out there. And that's what I wanted, because Toby wasn't even, I think it was on Amazon for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I was doing all these events, workshops and book week, and talking about Samara and Toby, because that's, it's a great way to talk to children about their fears and what they want. And I didn't have the books, and I'm like, this is not, I need the books.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why wait? And I'm glad I did. And luckily in WA, we've got a lot of authors that have chosen that path as well. So I asked them about someone to mentor me, and then I asked other people, how do you do this? How do you do that? And they sort of guided me through the process.
Yeah, if you ask, there's always somebody that's willing to lend a hand, I think, isn't there?
And the illustrator, Tuvu, who's a fantastic illustrator, she also got her rights back for the pictures, for the illustrations, and we had a good relationship. So I approached her, and she said, let's do it. Let's self-publish. So the layout was there. I've obviously changed it a little bit, and that's what I loved about the self-publishing journey as well, is that I was in control of all that.
Yes.
A
lot of people do say that it is that control that, allows you to make the decisions, which a lot of people like, but the distribution is always the hard thing, isn't it?
And that's what I'm finding. Finding the difference is the distribution and getting into bookshops, and creating the book wasn't. I mean, it had its challenges, and I just saw it as a problem-solving challenge. That wasn't as hard because I'd already written it, it had already been edited. I had the illustrations. It was, more formatting and learning the process. But it seems to be the distribution is the hard work. So
it is, and everybody says that there's a lot of legwork in there. But you've really, with the other publisher, you were saying that distribution wasn't brilliant for Australia anyway. So
yes,
sort of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, really, isn't it? I believe, and I'm sure you do as well, that people who write with the intention to publish, whatever the pathway they choose to use, should be referring to themselves as authors right from the outset. Now, I was actually on a workshop with somebody else today, and she was talking about, when do you refer to yourself as a real author or a real writer and that sort of thing? And a lot of that, people think, oh, I've got to have this number of books published or whatever before I can call myself an author or a writer. It's very much a mindset thing, I think. So there are a lot of people out there, both in the industry and outside the industry, that do still have this idea of, what makes you a real author. Now, you've published 5 books now, with more to come. So when did you start feeling like you were a real author?
For me, it was not so much how many books I have published. For me, it's more when I do author events. So I'm actually speaking to children or adults. That's how I feel like I really am an author. So you can do that with one book.
Yep.
You can, and I think because the more you start saying, introduce yourself as, I'm Sharon Giltrow, I'm an author, I wrote this book, I'm going to share it with you, and this is my journey. I think the more you talk about being an author, the more you become an author. And I think it's when you actually say it to your family and friends as well, and that you're an author. But I like how you said you had, like, with the intention to publish. I think that's also important as well, that you write this story and you intend to get it out to an audience.
Yes.
I think that's when you can call yourself an author. You can be a writer and write for yourself, and that, I do morning pages, but I don't intend to ever publish them. So if I was only doing that, I would call myself a writer. But because I do author events and I go out to school and I call myself an author, and people see me as an author, I think,
that's a nice distinction when you've got some books coming out, or you've got, a contract, or you're intending to publish. Saying those words, I'm an author, they're quite loaded. They can be quite hard to say, and I think at the start in particular, you've got to force yourself to say that. But I like that take that, you do the writing, yes, but you also do the other jobs that that you need to do as an author, like the promotion and the author talks and the school visits and that sort of thing. So it's all part and parcel of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think once you're ready to share your work, that might be when you become an author, that's true, because you're sharing your work with other people. It could be, like you said, your family and friends, and that,
Even
and I think It's funny. I think children don't have, like, you talk to children, they all want to be an author. Like, they don't have this. They probably call themselves authors as well. Like,
Yes.
some just say they're an author or a writer or an illustrator. They don't have this preconceived.
Yes.
No, I'm not, because I haven't done this or done that. They just, yeah.
Yeah, it's another one of those things that as adults we put this onto ourselves. We shouldn't. Yeah. Anyway, so as an author, what's your next milestone or your lofty ultimate milestone that you'd like to reach?
Yeah, it's kind of tricky because every month I sort of write down what I want to do that month. And I mean, what have I got for June? I've got quite a lot of different things. Like, I did a critique session with a publisher. I have to continue to market Toby and Samara. I'm judging some picture books that young people have written. I've got to revise and edit Kaya. So there's all these things I need to do for that month, which I don't always get through. But then I think it's the surprises that ignite, my joy for writing. So I try to be open for the surprises, and I'm hoping the surprises are more the big things that are going to be, the next thing that's fantastic. Like, you put all the work in, but you never know.
It's nice to get something back, some sort of acknowledgement.
Yes.
Back from that.
Yeah.
I mean, do you see, like, people say, you've got to dream big to achieve big. Do you see your books making it onto like a stage play or being optioned for movie and that sort of thing?
I think as an author, you think the next book's going to be the one. It's going to be the bestseller, and it's going to, make the New York Times bestseller. And you always have that dream that that's going to happen. But a lot of that's out of your control.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
So you have to do the work to get to that. But I always wanted to see Samara, like the Utility Belt series. I thought that would make a good, like, Netflix series or
yes,
ABC Kids or
yeah.
something like that. And I would like to be published by one of the big 5 publishers at some point, just to see how different it is as well, because you always think, once you crack like Penguin or Scholastic, that's it, you've made it. But it'd be interesting to see if it does happen, like whether that.
Yeah, you have to put yourself out there too. Like, you can't necessarily pigeonhole yourself. You can write and, publish a few books, and that's more of a nice little thing, but that's not my real job. Or you can make this into a career. So I think, it's what you put into it is what you get out. But like you said, those really big things like the Netflix series and that sort of thing, like, you put yourself out there and, work towards that, because if you don't, then you'll never achieve it. Right. So at least you can say you tried. So it's a long game though, isn't it? Writing and publishing, and even just with one book and all the work that you have to do, it's not like, you write the book and then the next day you can publish it. It doesn't quite work that way. You just have to be so committed. And like you said, you've got your list of, this is what I want to do this month. And it's not write a whole new book. It's like, do the marketing for this and judge this and be involved in this. It's all the little things that go into an author career. Knowing that level of commitment and knowing now the amount of work that you actually have to do to get there. If you think back, what actually inspired you to start writing, to get into the book industry in the first place?
Well, growing up, I always liked writing stories, and English was my favourite subject. But it wasn't until I had my first child and I had a little bit more, not more time, but you're awake in the middle of the night and you're thinking, well, I get these stories coming to your mind while you're doing something else. And that was when I thought, I could write picture books. Wouldn't it be nice to write a picture book, like, stay at home mum for a couple of years and write a picture book for my child. And so as being a teacher for 30 years as well, I had read lots of picture books, and you'd look at some of them and you go, I could write this, or I could write better than this. So I think it was that confidence that you kind of have that you can do it.
Yeah,
Reading lots of picture books as well kind of inspired me to
absolutely.
do it. Yeah.
Yes. And there are quotes around there, and I've forgotten who says it, but to be a writer, you need to read a lot
Mhm.
and that sort of thing. Reading widely, I think, is really important.
Mm.
So, can you just give us a brief overview of your 3 picture books that you also have?
Yeah, so they were sort of based on my parenting at the time as well. So the first one I wrote in 2018, so my son would have been 9 and my daughter would have been 12, and we we're going through that parenting stage of routines.
Yes.
So bedtime routines. So my husband and I, we used to take turns putting the children to bed, and then one night my son said, "I don't want to go to bed," and then my husband said, "Oh, well, you can put me to bed." So he's like, okay. And then, so they did like a little role reversal. Um, and that was the start of Bedtime Daddy. So in that story, the child bear's putting Daddy to bed, and he has to go through all the routines of getting Daddy Bear to bed. And,
Yeah, cool.
the humour of that. And I wanted to make it funny so parents could read it and have a laugh at those times
Yeah.
when sometimes you don't feel like
Yes, actually. Yeah, so is this a book more for the parents for the
yeah, so
children?
it's for the parents and the children can see, it teaches them a little bit of empathy as well. So, and I quite liked the role reversal, and I wanted to write in that format. So again, just learning a different way to write. And then Get Ready Mama was about the beginning of the day when you're trying to get your children ready for the school. In that one, the little girl's getting mama ready for the day. So it was, and those are things you do every parent does that every day.
Yeah. It is. Sometimes I think the best books are about the ordinary, everyday things.
Yeah,
So everybody can relate to that. My children are 20 and 22, right? So I don't need to worry about that anymore. But
no,
I still went, oh, yes.
yes, you remember. Yeah, yeah,
So I think it's something everybody can relate to, whether you
yes,
are the person being hurried to get ready or the person who's trying to get kids ready. Everybody
that's
can
right.
relate to that.
And
Yeah.
then the third book is Let's Go Shopping Grandma. So it's about taking your child shopping, and except the child's taking grandma shopping, and all
Yeah.
the things that the children do in the supermarket that are hilarious, like
Yeah.
trying to smuggle in the chocolate into the shopping trolley. You don't realize it's in there till you get to checkout, and, eating all the free samples and accidentally knocking pins off the shelf, and,
Yeah.
banging into the back of you with the shopping trolley because they want to push the trolley, and,
Yeah.
full load of shopping. And then they've got to go to the toilet, and you're like, well, what do I do? I've just spent 45 minutes filling up the trolley. I'm not,
Yeah. It's
so
it's
just all those,
always when you're next in the queue to pay.
it's all those little everyday things. And it was just a way to make it interesting.
Yeah. Do you have any more books in that series?
I did have one about taking a grandpa to the beach, because that was something we used to do a lot of as well. But that one hasn't been published yet. So,
Yeah.
and I
Yet.
had
I'm
another
glad you
one.
said yet.
Yes, yet. And I had another one about the mother and daughter swapping places
Yeah.
for the whole day, and the mum has to go to school and the daughter has to go to work, and
Yeah.
and that was called Swapping Places, like Freaky Friday, but
Yeah.
it hasn't been
Yeah.
published yet either. So
Yeah. Yeah. I know there's just the mind boggles. There are so many things that you can do. And they just sound like too. They must have
yes,
been fun to write
they
as
were
well,
fun to
which
write.
is so
Yeah,
important. Yeah. So
yes, yeah.
just thinking then about what you've learned since you started writing and publishing, um, what's one piece of advice that you wish back at the start that somebody had given you, um, and that you would then pass on to an aspiring author? As in
Yeah,
almost like it's the one item for their utility belt that you wish you
yes,
had.
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yes, it was interesting because last Saturday I was on an author panel, and we were talking to like new writers about writing and publishing. So one thing I would, oh, yeah, I'd get them to have, like, if it was a tool, probably a coat of armour or something.
Yes. Yes. Is that to steel you against either imposter syndrome or rejections?
Yeah. So, and maybe build up your confidence. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
And don't lose that spark like that. I often think the very first book you ever get published. That's like the magical one. That's the feeling you want to always have and keep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And just, I think also to know, like, I know there's a lot of people who get their first book published or publish their first book, and then there's a long wait for the next one.
Yes.
And that can be just as demoralizing as, years of rejections as you sort of,
Yes.
building up your portfolio, if you like. Yeah, that's really good, the suit of armour. And maybe a little bit of polish there as well, so that you can keep it shiny and that sort of thing when
and
it
to get all
starts
the
getting a
dents
bit
out.
worn. Yeah. Oh, that's perfect.
That's what I liked about self-publishing as well. Like, it's quite quick, the process.
Yes.
Even so, I've got Samara and Toby here. I'm just holding them up. So I did it through Ingram Spark and Amazon, but I also did it through the offset printer, and they printed them, and I had them within like 2 weeks. I mean, granted that I had done the text and the illustrations had been done, but it was that it seemed to be a lot quicker to get the books into my hands.
Again, I think it's back to that control thing too. Like, you can sort of push things along. You pick, whoever's doing your layout for you, they get it back to you and that sort of thing. I think it's, what's happening, so the wait doesn't seem to be as long. Although I know traditional publishing, it can take a couple of years, like, finish the book. And they often say, finish the book and then forget about it, right? Because, it'll be a nice surprise when it is actually ready. But it's interesting too. You said you print on demand with Ingram Spark as well as an offset printer. Was there a particular reason that you did that, or was it just testing the water? Somebody else I know, she will routinely, she mainly does picture books, do Ingram Spark and Amazon, because and she does a test copy for each, because often the quality is quite different. Between the two.
I was interested in that, so I did the 3, and the quality is better. Like, the colours are better for the offset printing, because the illustrations in there as well as an illustration each chapter, and obviously the tools are illustrated, so the illustrations are darker.
Okay.
So, and the main reason I wanted it was I wanted copies of my own book. I want to have 150 copies sitting in my house ready to sell. And it's also cheaper to do it an offset printer as well then.
Yeah, it can be. Although the print run for some offset printers puts a lot of people off as well. Like, a lot of them have a minimum print run of 500 to 1,000. And that can be quite daunting, although maybe they've relaxed that a little bit.
Well, I did it through a company in Sydney, and they had 100 or 150. So I did 150 of each.
Well, that's interesting. Okay.
It worked out to about $6 a book.
Right, which with postage, I know Ingram's just...
And that was with postage as well.
Yeah, that's
and illustrations. I liked the fact that it's been printed in Australia as well. So in the copyright page, I said, printed and bound in Australia by the company.
I think that's I don't know, there's just something about that. I look at that and I'm like, that's really important. Like, keeping it local if you can. Often, you go to get it done in Australia and it's so much more expensive. But this actually sounds good.
Yeah. I asked the person to take a video of it getting printed as well. So that's on my Instagram page of it being printed.
Excellent. So I'll have to go and have a look.
And if I was in Sydney, because it's in Sydney, I would have asked if I could actually come and watch it being printed. And I'm sure they would have said yes.
Yeah.
So I thought, and yet literally, I think they did express post, and I was able to make changes as well. They send you like an electronic proof copy.
Really good to work with. Yes, I shall definitely get their name from you afterwards. So right back at the start in your bio, we talked about that you grew up in a 100-year-old house,
Yes.
And now you live in a 90-year-old house, so
Yes.
a younger house by comparison. Well, I remember when I first read that, I'm like, oh, I bet those walls have some
Yes.
stories.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure there's many, but I'm actually also very interested in the fact that you said you grew up surrounded by books. So
Yes.
if a future visitor discovered your house 100 years from now and was,
Mhm.
maybe to move in, what would they learn about you just from the books that are on your shelves?
Yes. They would learn that I loved Enid Blyton as a child.
Yes.
And when you compared the Utility Belt series to Enid Blyton, I'm like, oh. So I don't often think about that. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe I was influenced by it, by
Yeah.
her,
Just a
just by
little
reading.
touch of magic and imagination, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And also Trixie Bell. And so I've got all my books, well, most of my books that I had as a child. So
Yeah.
they would see those books. And then they would see lots of picture books and
Yes.
probably wonder why there's so many picture books on this person's shelf. And then
Yeah.
they'd see my books as well and go, oh, she was an
Oh,
author.
maybe she was an author. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then so yeah. And I do read books for adults as well, but I usually try and get them from the library.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I always like to purchase copies of books of, people that I know as well to
yes.
support
Yeah.
them. And then others I'll, download on Audible or, borrow from the library or something like that as
Yeah. Yeah.
well.
So
So
yeah, they'll probably think what this person really loved children's books. Why does she have so many
yeah,
books?
oh no, or maybe, this person had a lot of children, but she didn't do much reading herself.
That's
You
right.
know?
The books are in pristine condition. They don't look like they've been read by
Yes.
children.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no sort of little dog ears and stains and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, so now your books have been nominated for awards, which is I always think that it's a massive achievement being nominated,
Mhm.
for awards, let alone winning awards. When you think about how many books are actually published every year, like
Yes.
that's a
Yeah.
massive, and it should be celebrated. And when I Googled you before this podcast, there was so many really, really wonderful reviews about, you and your books, and it was just, pages and pages of stuff. So we'll just turn the tables on that. If
Mhm.
your books, or maybe your one of your characters, could leave you a review as the author,
Oh.
what would they say about you?
Wow. Okay, that's a very good question. You should keep that one for everybody to answer. So if I took maybe Samara, what would you say about me, about my books, or about me as an author? What would you say? Oh gosh, that is hard.
Did
I
she
asked my
listen to you, perhaps? Did you
oh
listen to her?
oh that would be it, yeah. She would say, it was very outlined.
Yes.
The story was very outlined. The author knew where she was going, but I made her go in a different direction.
Yeah,
So
nice.
I
Right.
put some surprises in there. So yeah, it was my story was planned, but it also went in the direction that I wanted to go,
Yes.
and that she listened to me as a character. Although at times she didn't really know me because she was quite surprised to find when the cover came out. I'm just holding it up now. Samara's got golden hair, and
Yeah.
when I saw it, I went, "Oh, Samara's got golden hair," and I thought, "Why did the illustrator do that?" And then I realised I said the sun shone through her golden hair. I'm like, "Oh,
Oh,
okay."
no. Yeah.
So I knew Samara would say she knew me as a character, but she didn't know everything about me. So even that was
Yeah.
a surprise that Samara had for me right at the end.
Yeah. It just goes to show the observational skills of your illustrators as well,
Mm,
really. That they,
yes,
what an illustrator will pick up, a skillful illustrator will pick up on is
yes,
not always what we think as writers, is it? It's always,
yeah,
I think, you get your illustrations back, it's always a really nice surprise and to go,
it
oh,
is.
I didn't even think of that. you know.
That's right. And
really
sometimes you
nice
have to match the text back to their illustrations. So yeah, that was interesting, and the fact that because it was 10,000 words, so she read every word.
Yeah.
And I sort of suggested which parts to do an illustration for, because again, I had inner blight in my head about how to illustrate.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it was all new to me writing a junior fiction and what part to illustrate. But it was good to see how she interpreted the story, and I wanted the illustrations because I figure if the children are reading it and they see, Samara's got golden hair, but then on the front cover she's got brown hair, I'd be like, well, you're not, they'd say, well, you lied. Well, it's not true. It's not, yeah.
Kids will pick that up. Guaranteed
Yes,
they will pick that up because they notice the little things that we don't always notice and pay attention
That's
to.
it.
So what's next for you as an author? What's next for Sharon Giltrow? What are you working on at the moment? Like, I know you've got your third book. You've got other things happening as well.
Yeah. So the third book is Kaya Bell and the Utility Belt. So surprise, surprise, she gets a utility belt as well. So, and she wishes for a bigger family. So that's her storyline. But while I'm also doing that, I'm also writing picture books as well. So I actually co-authored one at the moment with a friend. So we'll see where that goes. So that was fun.
There's a lot of that happening at the moment. Actually, authors collaborating on. I haven't seen it for a picture book before, but I've for quite a few middle grade novels. There's been quite a few sort of little collaborations happening, which is,
so that was
nice.
fun.
Yeah.
So we're sort of working on that at the moment. I want to write another junior fiction series as well. So I've got
awesome. You said that the Utility Belt series was originally a picture book.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody said to you, make it into I give that advice often to picture book authors that I work with. Say, look, I actually think what you've got here is a junior fiction. And often they'll go, oh, I couldn't possibly go from 500 words to 10,000 words.
Yes.
What was your reaction when somebody said that to you? That you should make
that was pretty much it. How do I turn 500 words into 10,000 words? That was the first panic. And then it was like, oh, actually, this is quite a challenge. And then I went, I don't know how to do it. I'm going to do a course. So I did a course on how to write a middle grade. And that sort of showed me the outline of like doing chapter, what you're going to do in each chapter. So that gave me a sort of map to follow. And it worked out quite well because they've both got 7 days to use their tools, otherwise something happens. So it gave me that sort of structure that, the introduction, then it's Monday, then it's Tuesday, then it's Wednesday, then it's Thursday. So they became the chapters.
Perfect. So you've really got that sort of time frame thing happening that holds it all together. That's really
that's right. And so it's like, so it's Thursday, 2 days, 3 tools. So it's Thursday, they've got 2 days to use 3 tools.
And it's perfect because you've got like kids like patterns as well, and that sort of thing, and then you've got that framework to hang the other books on as well. That's really clever.
I think so.
So just to finish up, could you, now you mentioned you do like author talks, school visits and that sort of thing. Can you let people know where they can find you, book you for author talks and that sort of thing, and where, very importantly, they can purchase your books?
Yes. So I've got the website SharonGiltrowAuthor.com. Pretty sure that's it. Or even if you just Google Sharon Giltrow author, you'll find my website. And I've got the author events that I offer. I'm in the process, because then this is all new to me, setting up a bookshop on my website where people can purchase books directly from me. So if anyone's got any help with that. But you can get them through Amazon. So Samara and Toby are available through Amazon.com online. It's also, you can also ask your local bookshop to order them in, and if they are willing to use Ingram Spark, which is not all bookshops are, then the bookshops can get them from Ingram's Park.
Yep.
Yeah, and if people want to drop me a line, I'm willing, because luckily they're like small, so I can send them as a large letter.
Yeah. Perfect.
Save on postage. So, if anyone wants a copy, just go to my website, contact me, and I can send it through.
I would always advocate for purchasing books directly from the author.
Yes.
Self-published books, because
yes,
a lot of people don't know this, but the price that you pay on Amazon, the author gets diddly squat.
That's right. Yes. So yes, buy through us, and also libraries. It's listed with all the library suppliers. So you can ask for it for library, because then we get our ELR and PLR and
exactly. Yes.
Which
all of that combines to enable you to actually produce more books.
That's right. Well, and as publishers, we get all the ELR and PLR. I think that's how it works.
I believe
as a registered publisher. So
yeah. Perfect. Awesome. So your website, people follow you on Instagram.
Instagram and Facebook. So it's just Sharon Giltrow on Instagram and Sharon Giltrow on Facebook. I have an author page on Facebook, but I've started just using my personal one mostly because it just cuts down the work.
Yes, I hear you. That's what I'm trying to do at the moment. Yeah, it's like, how do I streamline these into one so I'm not spending my whole day on social media? Totally understand.
Yes.
Anyway, Sharon, thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to diving into your books, because they sound fun, and
yes,
a little bit of magic in realism, like this could possibly happen, and wouldn't that be exciting?
Yes, exactly.
And looking forward to seeing what you come up with next.
Yes, watch this spot, as I say.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.